making an arcade machine for my neighbour Terry, making it out of 18mm MDF. This is the plan so far. There's a few things to add to it. There's some buttons to go on the front here, start and select for each player. USB ports in the front here for player 3 and player 4. I think mostly this is mostly the plan finished. I can show you the inside. So we've got two accesses. One is the back door. So we hide that one. You can see the bass speaker and the two speakers either side there. I'm still not sure whether to mount the speakers inside the marquee facing down, or there's going to be gold trim T-moulding, brass effect, polished brass T-moulding, and it's going to be a candy apple red automotive finish. And these speaker grills that he's just ordered are going to be gold as well, kind of like a brushed gold, so they'll match. But I don't know if they might be a bit too obtrusive, and they might be better up there. We'll see. We'll have a look at that. So here's the power strip inside. We've also got access underneath for the controls, so you can troubleshoot wiring without having to stretch through the back there. The back door and the underside door are going to be held in place with coach bolts. There'll be rubber feet on here. Two of them will be actually on the underside door. But I hope you enjoy it. If you do, throw me a subscribe, like my video, and I'll promise to make more of these. Oh, I'm not promising anything. Cutting the side panels first. Both panels are going to be cut from this one piece of MDF. So I started trying to transfer the plan from SketchUp using measurements onto the piece of wood, and this didn't go so well. I did it before on a previous build, and it did take a long time then, and I thought I would do it again now, but instead what I did was just found out how to print out the plan from SketchUp full size onto A4 sheets of paper, and then cut them out because the printer doesn't do borderless printing on plain paper, and then stuck them to the MDF. I made sure that I got them in the right place on the MDF and square to the edges, and it all seemed to go quite well. It was much easier this way than transferring measurements. Much easier. So I stuck them down with a glue stick. This worked okay, but when I came to take the paper off afterwards, it was still stuck down too well. So in future, I've ordered and I will use a non-permanent removable spray adhesive. But it did clean up quite well afterwards. Just needed a half an hour with a scraper and some sandpaper. So I cut round the line about 5 mil away from the line with a jigsaw. Fortunately, it was a nice windy day as I'd forgotten to put my dust mask on. And I'll be able to cut the other side from the offcut. I started sanding the edges down to the line with the wood upright, but it didn't work very well. This sander has a fairly fresh 80 grit piece of sandpaper in it. It should cut through MDF really well, but it just did not seem to want to go through this. It took forever. And I thought this was my best sander, but it wasn't. So I ended up switching to my random orbital sander, which really got the job done a lot quicker. It was a lot easier. If you're going to buy a sander, I really recommend it's one of this type. This is just a cheap Einhole one, I think it is, and it works really well. Get your arm out of the way. The inside curve's a little tricky. As long as you don't go too aggressive, it seemed to be fine. I clamped the two pieces together and marked out for the next cut. And this time I could cut a little bit closer to the line. Next I clamped the two pieces together and flipped them over, and with a straight pattern bit in my router I trimmed them until they were the same.
Oh yeah.
Sorry about that. Okay, I have a cut list and I have to cut all the inside panels, everything that goes between the two side panels now. So first of all I need to cut all of the boards to the right width. The width inside the two panels is 580mm. There's two boards here that I'm cutting down. I didn't just show the clip twice. Then I'll just cut all of the parts that don't need a beveled edge. Everything's simple first. Make sure I mark every piece so that I don't get confused about what they are, because some of the pieces are similar in size. I don't want to have to work it out by measuring everything every time I offer it up. So I've done all the biggest pieces now, the back door, the bezel and the base. That's the base door, so they're all getting smaller and smaller now. That's why I've got the push stick out so I don't have to put my fingers near the blade. This one is the back bottom. This is my inclinometer. so that I can change the angle of the blade. It's a very handy tool. It's got a little magnet on the bottom that sticks to the blade. Well, it sticks to anything metal really. So you zero it on the table and then put it on the blade and then tilt your blade to the angle you want. So I marked everything at 21 degrees. But my maths was terrible, so I had to convert that to 69 degrees because I'd measured the wrong angle. So I'm cutting either end of this board with a 21-degree bevel, and then I'll just cut the either end of it off to the right lengths. I've gone back to one of the pieces that I cut earlier that needs a 21-degree bevel as well, while I've got the blade set up. This one has to be accurate because the board has to be the right length. It's more difficult to cut to a line with a bevel than it is to a straight with a straight blade. Quick clean up. So these two cuts are the ones with the beveled ends. These have got 21-degree or 69-degree beveled ends. So, but I'm cutting a straight with a straight blade now for the other end. It's just easier this way. Sorry. And the other end. Push stick. Drop that one. You can see the grass on the end. You don't need a table saw to make an arcade cabinet. You can do it with a jigsaw, and at the least you need a jigsaw and I would say a router. But better tools, things like table saws, circular saws, that sort of thing, they all just make the job quicker and easier. It's just laziness, really. It's not really laziness. Right, back to 90 degrees. That piece has got an angle on one end. That's the piece that goes under the control panel, the front board that goes under the control panel. And it's time to tidy up. And the cat's come to have a look. He's not very helpful though. It's the back bottom again. So I need to mark out where all of the boards go on the side panels so that I can put the battens inside to support them. So one by one, starting from that back corner where I know that everything is going to line up with that corner because that's a 90-degree angle. I'll offer up all of the boards and then draw a line around them and work my way around the whole of the side panel. That's that one with the angle that goes under the control panel. The last cut that I made. It's the back door. The bigger pieces are easier to mark. They don't move around, but the small pieces just wander around. It's very difficult to hold them in place and draw around them. So I've got inside, top, back and back top. So the inside one is actually a support. That one's not going to be marked now. But the back one is the key that tells me the angle for the marquee top. So I have to get this one right. This has to be really accurate. I'm using a square to make sure that everything's very accurate. But now I've got my angle, I can draw a line, and that's where the top marquee board goes. This one doesn't need to be cut. It's already been cut. There we go. So that's got a 69 degree angle on the back of it that lines up with the back of the cabinet. And this one has to be very accurate as well, because this one dictates where the next board goes for the bottom marquee. So the top of the side panel there is parallel with the top marquee board and this board. So I can measure to this line. So I've made a mistake here. That is meant to be under the line, and I haven't realised. So I'm drawing a line for the bezel board, which is one of the other biggest boards. It goes all the way down to the top of the control panel. Here we go, bezel. And I'll mark this in place, but it's too high up. It's meant to be 18mm further down. So it's going to throw out the next measurements. So here comes the control panel with its 56.3 degree angle on it. And I've just realized that's not lining up. And the reason is that is in the wrong place. So I've gone off to the computer, measured it on SketchUp, and realized my mistake. So I delete the lines and start that bit again. And look at that, I've done it again. Exactly the same thing. Right, now it's in the right place. Good job I did it in pencil. We've got the bezel again. So the only part that needs to be adjusted is that bottom line where the control panel meets it. And back to the control panel. And that should be the last one. All I have to do is repeat that for the other side. See you on the next video.